Until that day, I never knew what fear really was. Not the kind of fear that creeps up on you in the middle of the night because you heard a strange sound. Not the type that makes your hands tremble before a big speech or a job interview. No, I'm talking about pure, raw terror, the kind that lives in your bones long after the danger has passed. The kind that rewires your brain. That day changed everything. It started like any other quiet shift. I was part of the overnight maintenance crew at Facility 27, a privately funded research lab located deep in the Colorado mountains. Officially, we were told it was a pharmaceutical development site. But everyone who worked there, janitors, guards, technicians, knew better than to ask too many questions. You didn't ask about the lower levels. You didn't ask about the black badge scientists. You didn't ask why the reinforced doors had scorch marks on them. You just did your job, kept your head down, and cashed your paycheck. I'd been working there for over a year when it happened. I was used to the occasional alarm drill, the occasional rumbling from sublevel 5, or the muffled screaming that echoed through the vents on certain nights. But on that night, the screams weren't muffled. They were loud. They were human. And they were close. I had just finished mopping up a chemical spill near Section C when the lights flickered. Standard emergency backup kicked in. Red strobes bathed the hallways in a slow, pulsing glow. My radio buzzed to life with static and fragments of speech. Containment breach. All personnel evacuate. Subject loose. My heart froze. I knew what it meant. Subject. That wasn't a word they used lightly. I dropped my mop, fumbled for my security card, and started toward the main elevator, the only way out of the lower levels without triggering a lockdown. The elevator wasn't working. Panic started to rise in my chest, but I forced it down. There were other exits, emergency hatches, tunnel access routes, maintenance shafts. The problem was most of them were on the restricted floors, the ones we weren't allowed to enter. The ones that housed the experiments. I took the stairs. As I reached sublevel 3, the air changed. It was thicker, heavier, like walking into a humid jungle, but the temperature had dropped. I could see my breath. And the smell, like metal and rot and something wrong. That's when I saw my first body. It was one of the scientists, Dr. Helms, I think. Or what was left of him. His face had been removed. Not ripped off. Not burned. Removed. Like something had erased it. Just smooth skin where features should be. He was slumped against the wall, a broken syringe in his hand, eyes wide open, or they would have been if he had any. I wanted to run, to scream, to collapse. But I kept moving. Because something was following me. I didn't see it, not then. But I could feel it. A presence like the air behind me was watching. Listening. Breathing. I ducked into a supply room and locked the door behind me. My hands were shaking so badly I dropped my flashlight twice before finally clicking it on. That's when I heard it. A voice. Not from the radio. Not from outside the room. It came from inside my head. Why are you hiding? I froze. The voice was calm. Cold. It felt like ice water being poured directly into my brain. I clutched the flashlight, turned it toward the far corner of the room. There was nothing there. I can see you, it said again. My blood turned to stone. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. And then the door began to open. I hadn't unlocked it. I know I hadn't. It swung open slowly as if whatever was on the other side wanted me to see it coming. But there was nothing. Just the hallway. Empty. Red light pulsing every 3 seconds. I stepped out, scanning left and right. Still nothing. Then behind me, a whisper. So close it felt like it was inside my ear. You shouldn't have looked. I spun around, but there was no one. Nothing. I ran. Not calmly. Not with purpose. I sprinted like a wild animal, tripping over cables, slamming into walls, scraping my arms on the sharp corners of metal crates. I didn't care. I just needed to get up. To the surface. To anywhere but here. Sublevel 2 was worse. The walls were changing. Warped. Breathing? I swear they pulsed like lungs inhaling and exhaling. The floor was sticky and every step made a sound like tearing flesh. Whatever had happened down here, it wasn't just physical. It was reality itself breaking. I found a terminal and smashed the emergency override button. Nothing. I slammed it again and again until blood ran down my hand. The screen finally flickered to life. But it wasn't a map. It was a live feed. Of me. Standing there in front of the terminal. But I wasn't alone in the video. There was something behind me. Tall. Black. Moving like smoke but shaped like a man. I turned around. Nothing. But the screen still showed it. Closer now. Right behind me. I screamed and threw the monitor off the desk. The image shattered into static. Then footsteps. Not mine. From the hallway. Slow. What? coming closer. I found a wrench on the floor and gripped it like a lifeline. My breath came in gasps, my chest aching, my vision tunneling. And then silence. The footsteps stopped. I waited. 1 second. 2. 10. Then, slam, the door flew open. But no one was there. Only a message. Written in blood across the wall. You brought this. I sat motionless, the cold fluorescent light of the laboratory flickering above me. My ears still rang from the alarm that had gone silent only minutes ago. My shirt clung to my back with sweat, my breathing shallow. Somewhere in the maze of corridors behind me, something moved, heavy, slow, deliberate. It had gotten out. I didn't need a file or briefing to tell me what it was. I had seen glimpses, enough to know it wasn't human anymore. Not fully. I checked the door panel. Locked. Reinforced. Good for now. The terminal beside the panel blinked weakly. A few keys responded. Most of the system had been fried during the breach, but one screen flickered to life. It showed a map of the facility. The containment sectors, A through F, were all red. Only the admin wing remained green, and I was nowhere near it. I pulled up the emergency protocol logs. One entry caught my attention. Subject, Obelisk 9. Status breached. Threat level, Omega. Directive, quarantine failure. Full lockdown. Terminate any survivors on site. Terminate any survivors? I sat back. My stomach turned. That wasn't just containment protocol. That was cleanup. I heard a hiss, not mechanical. Wet, organic. My spine stiffened. I turned the lights off, sank to the ground, and tried not to breathe. Then it passed by. A shadow, impossibly tall, distorted by the frosted glass. Long limbs scraped along the walls. It made no sound but the dripping, the dragging. When it was gone, I crawled to the other side of the lab and cracked open the emergency maintenance panel. Inside, a vent shaft barely wide enough to fit me. But it was better than staying here. I climbed in. The shaft was cramped and stank of rust and chemicals. Each inch I moved felt like a mile. My palms burned as I dragged myself forward, inch by inch. Somewhere below I heard it again. Not just one now. Two. A wet clicking sound echoed faintly through the shaft. One of them, no, both were communicating. That was new. They'd learned. I needed to get to the admin wing. If there was any chance of escape, the security controls would be there. And maybe, just maybe, I'd find someone still alive. The vent ended above a storage room. I dropped down quietly and pressed my back to the wall. The room was dark, but not silent. I heard something breathing in the corner. Who's there? I whispered. No reply. Just a low groan. I approached slowly. My hand found a flashlight on the shelf. I turned it on, and instantly regretted it. A man in a lab coat. What was left of one. His face was wrong. Melted? No, fused. The skin rippled unnaturally like it was trying to shift. Help me, he whispered. I backed away. He wasn't turning into one of them. He was becoming something worse. I killed the light and ran. I didn't care if it heard me. Whatever had infected him, I wasn't staying to find out. I reached Sector D. Door access, denied. I pried open the maintenance console and rewired the bypass. Sparks flew. The lock disengaged with a heavy clunk. Inside, a wide corridor lined with shattered observation windows. Behind each, ruined test chambers. Blood smeared across glass. Walls caved in. Signs of a struggle. But no bodies. They hadn't died here. They were taken. Suddenly, a scream, sharp, human, pierced the silence. Someone was alive. I ran. Past the broken labs. Past the shredded security doors. Toward the sound. A woman, mid-30s, ID badge read Dr. Ellis, was barricading herself inside a control booth. Let me in, I shouted. She hesitated, then hit the override. I tumbled inside just as something crashed into the hallway behind me. You shouldn't be here, she said. They're changing the air. What? She pointed to the vents. It's in the circulation system. Whatever they were working on in Sector F, it wasn't just physical. It's viral. My mouth went dry. How many are infected? Everyone not in a sealed room. Maybe 10 minutes before it reaches admin. Then we stop it now. Her eyes widened. You don't stop Obelisk 9. You pray it doesn't notice you. I turned to the control console. Emergency purge was still an option. We have to trigger a burn. Evacuate the lower sectors. She grabbed my wrist. You'll kill everyone. I looked her dead in the eye. They're already dead. The override key required 2 inputs. Hers and mine. We turned the keys together. A low rumble shook the floor. A countdown appeared. Facility purge. 120 seconds. Dr. Ellis pulled out a data pad. We can still get out. There's an escape tram in sublevel 3. Manual activation only. We ran. Sirens screamed. Lights turned blood red. The thing behind us roared, not in pain but rage. No. We reached the elevator, slammed the button. Power rerouted to purge system. Elevator disabled. We're not making it, she said. We are, I replied. I opened a wall panel and climbed down the shaft ladder. Every second counted. At the bottom, we sprinted toward the tram bay. The doors were already open. A tram, dusty and used, waited. Inside, I hit the ignition. Access denied. Manual authorization required. Ellis slid her ID. Nothing. It's locked to the original project lead, she said. I turned. Standing at the far end of the platform was him. The man I'd seen in the photo earlier. Dr. Halvorsen. But he wasn't human anymore. His skin shimmered like liquid mercury. His eyes glowed with static. And when he spoke, it wasn't with a mouth. You tried to burn us. We remember. He stepped forward. Ellis screamed. I grabbed a crowbar from the wall and swung. It went through him like water. He grabbed Ellis. She convulsed, eyes rolling back. I'll take what's mine, he whispered. I lunged for the panel and yanked the power coupling. The tram lit up. I dragged her body inside, slammed the door and hit override. Depart. The tram jolted forward. Behind us, the platform exploded in light. The purge had started. We rode in silence. Her breathing was shallow. But she was alive. For now. Ahead, the tunnel stretched into blackness. But it wasn't over. Not yet. The night was unnaturally quiet. The trees no longer whispered. No distant animal cries. Even the wind seemed afraid to move. I stood just outside the ruined lab's lower levels, what they once called Section 0. It was the heart of the experiment. The place where everything began, and the only place it could end. I tightened the straps on my gear. My flashlight flickered once, then held steady. The camera on my chest recorded every second. If I didn't make it out, someone had to know what happened here. Behind me, only silence. Ahead of me, hell. And somewhere in the dark below, it waited. I descended the narrow staircase, the metal creaking under my boots. The walls were covered in claw marks, long ragged gouges in the steel. Blood stains painted the floor like abstract art dried long ago. I passed broken doors, shattered lights, and equipment torn apart like paper. Section 0 wasn't on any official map. It was a ghost within a ghost. A place even the scientists feared. But this was where they kept Subject A07, the failed result of their ambition. Not a test subject anymore. Not human. Not even alive, not really. A predator forged by grief, isolation, and forced evolution. And now it was loose. I reached the central containment chamber. Or what was left of it. The massive observation window was cracked and smeared with old blood. The glass door was torn off its hinges. Inside, the walls were scorched and clawed, a testament to what had happened here. I stepped in. The room smelled like rust and rot. My flashlight flickered again, then steadied. Something moved behind me. I spun around, heart pounding. Nothing. Just the echo of my own breath. Then I saw it, a figure on the far wall. Curled up. Motionless. A survivor? I stepped closer. No. Not a person. A husk. Skin pulled tight over bones. Mouth frozen in a silent scream. It had been dead for years. But that wasn't what made my blood run cold. It had my name tag on its chest. I staggered back, confused. It wasn't possible. I hadn't even worked here until months ago. But the face, it was me. My radio hissed. Then a voice whispered through the static. You were always here. I tore off the headset, heart racing. My hands shook. What the hell was this place doing to me? No. Focus. The hall outside the chamber led deeper into the underground. I followed it. More bodies lined the floor. Some half-eaten. Some wrong. Limbs too long. Faces warped. Their lab coats bore familiar names from the files. Doctors who'd vanished. And then, ahead, a pulse of faint light. I approached carefully. Another room. Much larger. The walls pulsed like a living thing. A giant tank in the center bubbled with black liquid, and suspended inside was something, shifting. It was the subject. But not as I'd expected. It was changing even now. Rebuilding itself. Growing. Eyes opened along its body, dozens of them. All staring at me. Then it spoke. Not with a mouth. Not with sound. With thought. You remember now. Images flooded my mind. Memories I didn't recognize. A boy screaming. A room filled with machines. Screams. Fire. A woman crying behind a window. Was this real? You were part of the experiment. No, I whispered. They erased you. Hid you inside yourself. But I remember. Pain seared through my skull. My knees buckled. And then, silence. I woke in the dark. Alarms blared. I was still in the lab, but the tank was shattered. The liquid coated the floor. The subject, gone. I stumbled to my feet, everything spinning. I wasn't here to kill a monster. I was here to stop becoming one. I moved fast. Through the broken corridors. Past dead scientists and failed test subjects. Each step forward brought more clarity. More pieces. I'd been taken as a child. My memories wiped. Replaced. Reassigned. All to cover up a mistake. I wasn't just a survivor. I was the control subject. The one they used to stabilize A07. Our DNA was linked. Our minds, connected. And now it was finishing the bond. Unless I ended it first. I reached the final chamber. A reactor room. Power lines fed deep into the underground. A failsafe buried in rumor. A last resort. The subject was already there. It waited in the center, shifting between shapes, faces of people I once loved. My mother. My friend. My own face. It didn't attack. It spoke. We don't have to die. I raised the detonator. No, I said. But we do have to stop. It surged toward me. I hit the trigger. Light exploded. It sounded like the world tearing in half. Then, nothing. I woke in a hospital. Clean sheets. White walls. Alive. A nurse came in. Smiled politely. You're lucky, she said. They found you in the woods. You were the only one. The only one? I asked. She nodded. The facility collapsed. There was nothing left. Good, I whispered. She paused. Do you remember your name? I opened my mouth. Paused. Then smiled. No, I said. She nodded slowly and walked out. But I remembered everything. And in the mirror across the room, my eyes blinked twice. Once as me. Once as something else. Because sometimes, you don't leave the horror behind. Sometimes it leaves with you. And waits.